How do contracts end or get finished or get discharged, as the word is used technically? What are the ways in which a contract could be discharged? Well, you could discharge it by performing it, obviously. That's the most common way. If both parties perform their contract, we're done. The contract is discharged. But you might also have a discharge by what's called impossibility, impracticability, or frustration of purpose. And all of these are dependent on an idea which we sometimes refer to as force majeure. It's a French idea, a major force, something that is unanticipated by the parties. Sometimes it's referred to as an act of God clause. Something really bad happens that's sort of unanticipated, and for some reason or another, it frustrates a fundamental premise on which the contract was made. So for example, if I make a contract with you to paint my house, and then 2 days later the house gets struck by lightning, and now there's no house to paint, that would be we would say, oh, that contract is no longer valid. It's discharged by impossibility. You can't paint that house. Now, I might build another house, and we could have a new contract about another house, but you can't build that house. So it could be absolutely impossible. It could also not fully be impossible, but maybe impracticable for some reason, that the house could be painted, but it wouldn't make sense, and it would cost too much to do so now that such and such has happened. We maybe made the agreement at a particular point, and then 2 days later there was a violent windstorm which knocked all of the paint off, and now the paint job's going to be 3 times as hard. So now we should discharge by impracticability because of this activity, or a fundamental frustration of the whole purpose of the contract. I contract with you with a soccer team to perform at a particular sports event, and then the sports event is canceled. And so now it would be possible, I guess, for you to perform, but there won't be any crowd there, there won't be any audience there, and so it will frustrate the fundamental purpose of the contract, and so you could deem the contract to be discharged. You could also have a discharge by rescission. Rescission is basically both parties agree to just cancel the contract. And they say, yeah, let's both walk away. And that's fine if the parties agree. You can also have a discharge by novation. That's really the parties get together and they form a new contract to supersede the first contract. And that basically ends the first contract and creates a new one. And so that's referred to as a novation. And so it's a discharge by novation. And finally, you could have a discharge by accord and satisfaction, which is you say you're not going to be able to perform. I say, oh, that's too bad. Can you do something else instead? And you say, sure. So you do something, but the something you do is not the thing that was in the contract, but I say that's all right. And so we basically kind of substitute some other thing to satisfy the contract. It's sort of like a novation in the sense that it's almost like we've created a second contract. But instead of a full second contract, it's just that I agree that you can do something that's partial, and I'll deem that to be good enough under the contract. And so that's accord and satisfaction. So those are all the ways in which you can discharge a contract and move forward.